In our previous episode, the fight on Thousand Saint Island had come to a close. Our boy had not only come out on top but also broken through successfully, and right now all that was left was to wait for the so-called guide to appear. After that, he went back home and shared a peaceful dinner with his family, and things went back to normal again. Later in the night, he made a promise to Snowy saying they will settle things between them once the busy days were over. Meanwhile, over at the military headquarters, the technique our boy had told them to implement was finally in their hands. As the big screen started playing the footage, a 3D figure appeared, demonstrating the technique. The room quickly fell silent, and as the video progressed, it didn't take long for their expression to shift from curiosity to full-blown shock. One of them points out that these seemingly simple moves, however, were already sparking inspiration in his mind just by watching and replaying them in his head. Another one jumps up, clearly thrilled, saying this wasn't just theory, it was reshaping how they understood martial arts. It felt, he claims, like stepping into an entirely new world. Excitement spread like wildfire. Meanwhile, the Central Marshal, stroking his beard, smiles and says he's glad everyone's noticed it too. He declares that although the movements look basic, they're incredibly refined when practiced. He pauses the video to explain that based on trials, this body tempering method is at least 100 times more effective than what they currently use, adding that this technique also pushes human potential far beyond anything they've seen. Hearing this got everyone more fired up, calling this a blade that would carve open a new era in martial arts. Some get emotional, saying this treasure is beyond value, and believe their nation is truly blessed. He adds that only someone like Lu Sheng, who stands at the absolute peak of martial arts, could have created something so profound. But then, someone raises a hand. Everyone looks his way. He hesitates, looking a bit unsure, and asks whether something so rare and powerful should really be rolled out across the entire military. He worries that if they do, it might not stay secret for long. He wanted to say more but didn't finish, and the room understands. The Central Marshal nods, clearly already aware of this risk. He suggests that this level of generosity is exactly what sets a true martial saint apart. He then remarks that Lu Sheng had said it himself. This was a gift meant for the whole planet. The room went silent, then slowly settled into respect. Someone murmurs that they've lived over 100 years, yet feel like their life was wasted. He declares that Lu Sheng is someone with eyes on the stars and a heart as vast as the galaxy, not just in strength, but also in vision that no one could compare. The Central Marshal smiles again and tells them they should all feel lucky. After all, they were about to witness a new era, one shaped by the very hands of their god of the military. A second after he finishes, the entire hall erupts. The scene then shifts to a military camp in the Eastern District. A young man is deep in his usual training routine, doing handstand push-ups with his entire body upside down on just one finger. Sweat drips endlessly from his body, pooling beneath him. However, his arms tremble slightly because this is his 3,549th rep. Just then, someone shouts his name. It was then revealed to us that this very young man turned out to be Ming. In case you forgot, he was our boy's high school bestie. Ming takes a deep breath and stops his training, turning curiously as the boy walks up grinning. He says there's huge news, but teases a little, asking which of the two good news stories Ming wants to hear first. Ming picks the first. The boy grins wider and says the military apparently had a new god of the military, officially their nation's 4th, 9th level. Ming is caught off guard and asks if he knows who it is. The boy shakes his head. He explains that no name has been released yet, but many guess it might be Top General Lu Sheng. After all, a year ago the military declared that Lu Sheng had defeated Zhao Ji over the coast, calling him the god of the military, but the boy reasons that since he's been missing ever since, so he doubts it. Ming, though, already got a text a while back knowing his friend is safe, but he kept that to himself. He nods calmly, then asks, a bit more excited now, what the second piece of news is. The boy then remarks that the military has begun pushing a new body-tempering technique, supposedly created by this very god of the military. It's said to be hundreds of times more effective than their current methods. He also notes that many have already begun practicing it, and some even had breakthroughs the same day. He then pulls out a USB stick, saying this is exactly what he came to give Ming. Ming throws an arm around his shoulder and says they shouldn't waste time and better get back to training. What they don't realize is that someone has been watching them from nearby. Our boy stands at a distance, smiling quietly at Ming, pleased by how much he's changed. A nearby officer respectfully reports that Ming has been working incredibly hard. He's already reached the second level and is one of the more impressive new recruits. And because of Lu Sheng's instructions, they also didn't assign Ming to any high-risk missions. As he listens to the officer's report, he takes a moment to think. Then he quietly tells the officer to give Ming a little extra support in terms of resources, but doesn't want Ming to notice, and the officer nods respectfully. He glances at Ming one last time before turning away. He remarks it's time to strengthen the military from the ground up. No matter how small the step, it's a move in the right direction. With the new body tempering method and other techniques in place, even regular soldiers would now stand a better chance when facing the beasts, and perhaps be the difference between death and survival. Days passed quickly, and word began spreading, and even fighters outside the military started training with the new technique. One of them, feeling the surge of power in his body, bursts with excitement because he's just broken into the third level. Young people take to the streets to celebrate, especially those from the military. With their god of the military now standing behind them, they feel no need to bow their heads even when facing disciples of other martial saints. Back with Lu Sheng, he senses immense energy swirling constantly around him. It's not your typical energy, but something more spiritual, and it began to press in from all directions. He can almost hear the cheers and praises, and this wave of recognition actually boosts his strength a bit more. He reflects, wondering if this is what it means to be powered by the belief of countless people. Like receiving offerings from 1,000,000 souls, granting a form of eternal existence. It was the kind of thing he'd only ever seen in stories before. The power feels eerily similar to that of worship, and this very power is almost like a divine ability tied to rebirth and renewal, sort of like what Zhao Ji had. But he doesn't believe he should become a god. Instead, he sees himself becoming a symbol. He remarks that, "I am martial arts, and martial arts are me." And when he becomes strong enough, every person across the world and perhaps even the universe who follows the path of martial arts will naturally become his follower. In that instant, something inside him clears. An even more powerful energy starts to form slowly. The scene then cuts to the divine martial tower. At its highest level, Tan Zhongyue is in meditation. Suddenly, he breaks into a cold sweat, eyes snapping open. He looks worn down not just physically but deep in the heart. He mutters to himself, saying that their paths were never the same, which is why they parted ways long ago. Still, he admits, he never imagined that the one who used to be just a promising 7th-level youngster could now defeat him so effortlessly. With a hand pressed to his chest, he can feel its cracks spreading all over his inner core, or precisely his martial heart. The battle on Thousand Saint Island had left a mark too deep. He had hoped to use Lu Sheng as a stepping stone to break through, but in the end, not only was he defeated, but even his martial avatar had been shattered. He lets out a quiet sigh, then forces a bitter smile. After a moment, he calms himself and insists that just because Lu Sheng is stronger doesn't mean his path is the correct one. After all, Lu Sheng was only 20, already standing at the peak of humanity, but it's hard to believe he got there without some kind of miraculous encounter. He still remembers Lu Sheng once saying to him one day he would become a martial saint, and he would tear down this tower, break the chains of tradition, and spread martial arts across the world. Thinking about that now, he bursts into laughter and thinks it's ridiculous. He refuses to believe Lu Sheng would actually give away all his hard-earned techniques for free. Getting to his feet slowly, he feels much lighter. He remarks that right now, Lu Sheng is stronger, so it seems like his path is right. But, he tells himself, if the day comes when he surpasses Lu Sheng, then it'll be his path that's truly correct. Clenching his fist, he declares that Lu Sheng's time is running out anyway. He calls him reckless for stealing all those energy crystals, and he's convinced that once the guide appears, he will be walking straight into death. Suddenly, a man rushes in and kneels down, saying he has some update on Lu Sheng. Tan Zhongyue tells him to speak, and when he hears that Lu Sheng is promoting a new body-tempering method and new martial techniques within the military, he spins around in shock, not trusting his own ears. The man goes on to explain it's not just that. Lu Sheng has also made his techniques public, and anyone outside of the military who wants to learn can also follow along. And then, the footage begins playing on a large screen. Tan Zhongyue stares at the video, his whole body trembling. He can't believe Lu Sheng would really give them away so openly. He stares, feeling a bit dazed. Suddenly his knees buckle, and he drops to the ground. He mutters to himself, struggling to find the words. A heart is this vast. It goes beyond just being impressive. As the words leave his mouth, he suddenly hears the sound of glass shattering. It's not from the screen, rather, was his martial heart. He stays there, slumped on the ground, feeling defeated. He then admits it he had lost, not just in strength, but everything. And compared to Lu Sheng, he's simply not enough. The scene shifts to the transcendent martial school. Zhao Ji sits alone in a quiet room, a little surprised to see Lin Zhengyue return so early. He asks if the guide has arrived ahead of schedule. She pulls down her cloak and shakes her head, saying no. The guide hasn't come. Zhao Ji grows anxious and asks why she's back then. What about the spirit-nurturing elixir? Unless, does she have some? But again, she shakes her head and tells him it's not about that, and tells him someone wanted to see him. Zhao Ji tries to guess who it could be. Maybe Tan Zhongyue? But he figures there's no need for that meeting. If they met now, it'd only be to mock him. Still, he reminded her that since she took his energy crystals and promised to protect him, she should stick to the deal. However, he still wanted to know what Tan Zhongyue wanted from him. She shakes her head once more, saying it's not about Tan. It's someone else, someone he knows well. In the next second, a figure appears behind her. Zhao Ji freezes and doesn't expect this. Lin Zhengyue respectfully steps aside and calmly says the one who wants to see him is none other than Lord Lu Sheng, the peak of humanity. Our boy steps forward with a smile and greets him casually while saying,
"Surprise, motherfucker!"
Zhao Ji couldn't believe his eyes. His entire body begins to shake and stumbles back in panic, unable to form a full sentence. Then suddenly he blurts out a question. What did she just call Lu Sheng? She repeats once again, calling him Lord Lu Sheng, the peak of humanity, then tells Zhao Ji she'll be returning everything he gave her. She reasoned that if she can't protect herself, there's no way she can protect him. By now, Zhao Ji is terrified. He doesn't understand. Why would a martial saint would call someone Lord and address him with such a title? Across the entire planet, who else could possibly be worthy of that kind of reverence from a 9th-level martial saint? He scrambles for answers, but no one comes to mind. Only one possibility remains, the guide, who is at the 10th level. He stammers, barely able to speak, and asks, Have you already reached the 10th level? Sweat pours down his face. In just 1 year of his recovery, the world outside has clearly changed more than he ever imagined. Our boy doesn't answer, and he simply walks closer. Then, he gives Zhao Ji 2 choices, life or death. The weight of our boy's gaze alone leaves him breathless. He can't think, can't speak, and his mind goes blank. Seeing no answer, Lu Sheng decides for him. He places a hand on his head. Within seconds, Zhao Ji's eyes go dull, and his body collapses backward. Lin Zhengyue bows deeply, thanking Lu Sheng for sparing his life. But our boy just turns away and says there's no need for thanks. To him, Zhao Ji is barely more than a dead man already. Turns out, our boy didn't kill him, but he erased most of Zhao Ji's memories and replaced them with new ones. Zhao Ji perhaps could never reach his peak again. In fact, even getting back to Grandmaster would be nearly impossible. Lu Sheng believes it's better this way. Rather than ending him, he'd reshape him, make him useful to the world and humanity in a different way. He even jokes to himself that maybe he really does have the heart of a saint after all. He adds that Zhao Ji will wake up soon, so they should give him some space. Zhao Ji remains slumped in place, empty and dazed. 5 minutes pass. He finally blinks and comes back to himself. Checking his body, he realizes he's still alive. He laughs wildly, thinking the heavens have granted him a second chance, saying he has been reincarnated. Then without warning, tears begin to pour down his face. Thoughts of his parents flash through Zhao Ji's mind, followed closely by the memory of his wife. He remembers how horribly they died. His jaw clenches, eyes burning with fury. He declares he must return, must make those responsible pay in blood. But then comes the problem. How does he get back to his original world? Suddenly, he remembers the system. He quickly summons it. On the screen, a new mission appears, a task from a martial saint. Kill 10 million beasts to complete the goal and, in return, receive the martial ancestor's inheritance. Martial ancestor, he repeats to himself. Could that be the same powerful being who sent him to this world? He fully believes it must be. Anyone capable of giving him a second life had to be someone on that level. He convinces himself that as long as he finishes the task, going back won't just be possible, even bringing his family back to life might be within reach. He makes up his mind, saying 10 million beasts is just a matter of time. In the very next moment, He dashes off, heading straight for the front lines. His mind is filled with a single purpose now, which is to kill the beasts and rewrite his fate. Not far away, Lin Zhengyue watches in surprise. She can't believe what she's seeing. Shocked, she asks how Lu Sheng pulled that off. Our boy just brushes it off, saying it's nothing worth mentioning. What our boy really did was simply use a bit of his will projection, because Zhao Ji wasn't even a martial saint anymore. So tweaking a few memories was quite easy. He implemented memories from someone in the dream realm, weaved them into a believable memory, and then implanted them in Zhao Ji's mind. Just like that, a completely reborn Zhao Ji had emerged. As for the system, the mission, all of that was just cherries on top. And from now on, he'd dedicate his entire life to humanity's fight against the beasts. Our boy then remarks even he is touched by his own handiwork. Lin Zhengyue gulps nervously, the corner of her eye twitching. All she can say is, well, then he really is lucky. The two of them walk for a bit. Just then she notices her daughter hiding behind a tree. She snaps at her, asking what she is doing there. Startled, the girl jumped and quickly ran off. Lu Sheng smiles at her gently and recalls that Snowy had mentioned her before. But Lin Zhengyue misreads the moment. Thinking our boy might have taken a liking to her daughter, she quickly offers, saying if he doesn't mind, she can accept on Wan's behalf. This came out of nowhere, and he quickly said he already has a fiancé. She casually points out that it's not unusual for powerful martial artists to have multiple wives. In fact, for someone like Lu Sheng, spreading his superior genes would be a contribution to the entire planet. Lu Sheng didn't expect her to throw out such a wild take, so he firmly refused again, adding that he's not interested in someone Wan's age. Lin Zhengyue pauses and thinks for a second. Then, with a bit of a blush creeping up, she glances at him and says, "Well then, my lord, what about me?" Lu Sheng breaks into a cold sweat the moment he hears her. Before he can even refuse, Lin Zhengyue is already leaning into the moment. She casually explains that her husband died young, and she's been single for years. Serving someone like Lu Sheng would be okay for her. As she speaks, she even presses her arms together in front of her chest for emphasis. Lu Sheng stumbles a step back, completely caught off guard. What the hell is this development, he thinks. A widow root? This is heading into a whole new genre of story. He coughs twice, trying to keep things on track. He declares that she should respect herself and insists he's not that kind of person. Welp, seems like our boy is still on track to becoming the strongest and not here to collect side quests. Lin Zhengyue looks a little disappointed, but she doesn't push it. Instead, she smoothly shifts the topic and asks, "So, you're really not planning to return the energy crystals?" Lu Sheng suddenly turns toward her, eyes sharp. Word by word, he replies, "Should I be returning them?"